China EVs and More Special Edition. This is our second annual road trip after a Chinese auto show. Last year was Beijing to Shenzhen in a XPeng G9. This time we are in a NIO ET5, and we're testing out battery swapping from Beijing to Shanghai. And this is going to be over 2 days. Last year we thought 3 days was a little bit long, so we shortened the trip a bit. And right now, Lei is driving the car, and he's about to put it in NOP Plus pretty soon here. And we'll record We'll record for the next 20-30 minutes. First, we're going to recap some of the things that were the highlights from the Shanghai Auto Show.
Well, let's for this first part. Let's talk about more of the trip a little bit, and then we can focus our second part on Friday.
So NIO is not paying us.
No,
they have not told us about anything that we can't say or do. We've been Laopanyos with NIO for quite some time, so they just let us borrow this car. We're going to deliver it to them at a NIO house in Shanghai, and then we're recording just like we would any other time, except we're on the road north to south from Beijing to Shanghai. So you picked up the car, or you got the car delivered to you in Beijing, and then you picked me up
on the evening of the 3rd, and then I've had it on the 4th, and then I picked you up on the morning of the 5th. We left on the 5th.
And tell us what you did prior to prep for the trip. You said you had...
So let's go back a little bit. So some of you might be... This is one of the only vehicles available for this type of trip. The interesting car was shipped, was driven over on a flatbed, on a truck from Shanghai to Beijing for us to drive back. And it was one of the only vehicles available. I think the ET5 is also a very mature model from the NIO lineup. And this is the 2024 edition. It's got the 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, the standard size, which has a CLTC range of 560 kilometers. And this car was registered June of 2024. And we just took it past 10,000 kilometers yesterday on the 5th, on the first day of the trip.
So the car is pretty warmed up.
Yeah, so it's pretty warmed up. And all we're trying to do since last year is, this is part of our auto show, whether it's Beijing or Shanghai, is try a different EV post the auto show and try to get an understanding of the car itself, and this year especially the power swap process and ecosystem throughout China for this trip. So that's why we got this vehicle. We tried a few other brands, but this was the only one available, so we took it.
And over the last two auto shows, we've seen more and more foreign journalists, foreign media, foreign people come to Beijing last year and Shanghai this year. And that's awesome because more people need to understand. But I think how we feel we're different is because we're Lao, Zhongguo, right? We're old Beijing hands. We've been Beijing, Shanghai many, many times, dozens of times each. And I think this is where we're very different because we kind of are able to understand what's going on as opposed to swooping in, swooping out. And it's an opportunity for us to reacquaint ourselves with a country that we've lived in for more than a decade for me and 20 years for you. So things come flying back in your mind.
I'm not sure about you, but I cannot call myself an expert on the Chinese EV market. I call myself an enthusiast because we're in a constant learning process and we have to be on the ground, we have to be here. Hence, we try to make an effort to like you said, not just swoop in and attend the media press events and then get out. We have to be on the ground for an extended period of time to have this whole experience, to have this ownership experience, to understand different brands and different vehicles and the selling points, right? What makes a NIO a NIO? That's our point.
And at the end of the day, if you're here 2, 3, 4 days, your trip's kind of manicured. And so we work behind the scenes, talk to people, reacquaint ourselves with old friends, some that are still in the industry, and I think that's what's really important and makes, I think, China EVs more a little bit different than some of these other shows and programs. I think altogether, it's a net positive that everybody's learning more. Unfortunately, the people that weren't here, generally speaking, were the Americans. You know, with the exception of you and I, there just weren't that many Americans in the media that were in Shanghai. Now, some of that is not their fault because of visas and things like that, but at the Zeekr event we went to, we'll talk about that in a little bit, sure. I met people from the Philippines that were there, dealer groups. So the impression I got from the Shanghai Auto Show was that business as usual except the United States. So.
Yeah, and since I'm driving, and this is on NOP Plus, the NIO's all scenario navigation based assistant system, assistant pilot. We try to make a point adding assistance and not try to make it, you know, that's why I try to focus on the road and instead of looking at the camera as Tu can do since he's not driving. But yeah, and speaking of NIO, I mean, we done this show for 4 years already, and we talk
4 years.
We talk about NIO probably almost every single damn show, and we still are learning. And as a matter of fact, we still learn something new about the power swap stations through this experience that we did not know about.
The irony is,
so
I think the irony is that some of these so-called quote-unquote experts could actually learn a thing or two from us. I'm sure they could learn a thing.
Sure.
But my impression, ET5, great little car, very different characteristics than the G9 that we drove last year, obviously, because it's a small sports sedan versus a large crossover SUV.
It's more nimble.
And more aggressive steering, so that's also good. I had that ET9 in Munich for 7 days or 6 days.
ET7.
Or ET7, sorry.
2 years ago.
In Munich, and the steering wasn't great. You know, it just didn't have the feel that I thought it should. This is much better than the ET7 I had. Now, the ET7 was also pretty big, and you know, I'm not used to driving huge sedans like that, so I think kind of getting used to that and the German roads was another challenge. But yeah, so it's a comfy car. It's not small, but it's not big either. Pretty nimble, and yeah, we can get in and out of things pretty easily. But what are your overall thoughts?
It surprised me, but it was better than I expected. One of the main things is the NOP Plus, which it's currently under. I think we've been talking, and
we're running 3.1.
NOP Plus, right? The system is the Banyan 3.10. And I actually think that the NOP Plus on the expressways was better than the G9 last year because of the way it decides to change lanes, and sometimes it could be aggressive and more human-like. Sometimes it's a little conservative and slows down for no reason, but overall, I think it's... And we tried some of the urban NOP Plus, and I think it was definitely
where it was loved.
Yeah, it was definitely better than how the G9 performed last year when we entered, let's say, Zhengzhou or Changsha. But the caveat is, obviously, these systems on all the China EVs, they're improving, iterating tremendously. Changes and updates performs better within a matter of weeks, if not months, right? Or months, if not weeks. So that's the caveat. But this current system as is, I think NOP Plus, it's quite impressive in my mind.
And the one challenge with the systems is that they do obey the laws. So sometimes you and I will get a little bit impatient because
my hand has been on the steering wheel all this time.
Traffic is flowing a little bit faster than the speed limit, but the NOP Plus only allows you to go up to the speed limit. And so there are times where it's not doing anything wrong, but we'll want to move a little bit quicker and more aggressively. But it is pretty cool that if the speed limit's 120 and it's going 60, when it finds an opening, just like now,
just now,
it moves over and tries to get back to the 120 kilometers per hour, because the truck to the right of us is probably going 90 to 100. And so now it's accelerating, trying to catch up, getting back to that 120 kilometers per hour speed. So that's really impressive too. And actually very liberally moves back and forth between lanes without thinking too much about it. And I agree with you, the G9, there was a bit more apprehension.
But again, it's been a year.
Yes.
I mean, a year in China EV time is a long, long time.
Especially at the continuous competition levels that we're seeing.
And second part, I think our network, the planning on the navigation, the recommended routes, the recommended stations where you can stop by en route, right? We're about 500 kilometers away from Shanghai, and it'll automatically recommend the swap stations in the service areas on the expressway, so you don't have to get off.
That's the default. So it looks at your range and then recommends, and you don't have to do anything. It'll take you to that route, especially if NOP Plus is still working. But it'll show you to the exit and then let you know when you need to take over. And in addition to that, I'm stealing your thunder a little bit, it'll put you in a queue so that once you arrive, you're already waiting in a queue behind whoever is swapping in front of you.
Once you get close to the battery swap station, it actually automatically puts in an order on the head unit, on the screen. It'll show, let's say you're within a kilometer, it automatically puts down an order which puts you officially in the queue, and it'll tell you that you want to be there within 3 minutes. If not, it'll automatically get rid of the order to be fair to other ones that could be in the queue, to force you to kind of, it's fair for everyone, so that you don't have to wait. And then after that, I think the battery swap process itself, you park in front of the station, the designated spot, and you just press a button, you let the system do the rest.
It is pretty, as long as you input the pre-planned presets that you prefer, it's kind of idiot-proof.
So for example, we're 210 kilometers from this next one at generation 3. It's showing that there's 8 out of 11 batteries in the bays that are available.
So this is a massive swapping station.
Yeah, to be swapped out. But this number could change in the next...
It will change.
An hour or two, since there's others that could be going into this one.
And since it's a Gen 3, anticipate 4.5 minutes from parking to swapping.
So yesterday we did a total of 3. We did 1 at a generation 1, and we did a 2 at generation 4. And the average has been on the Gen 4 is the minute you press the start button to the minute the system says done. It's been 4.5 minutes. On the Gen 1, it was about 6 minutes slower.
Still not bad. Not bad at all. And the challenge, there was a kind of a misunderstanding, I think, on our end, because the recommendations were in the city, which actually added 20 to 40 minutes each time we went to the swap station. This time it looks like it is recommending rest stops right off the highway, which should save us easily.
Right on the highway.
Yeah.
We don't have to get off. Right.
It should save us easily 20 minutes each stop.
Yeah.
Because think of it from the standpoint of you're on the outskirts of New York City and then you have to go into Manhattan
And then
go back out.
Start the process even before getting to the battery swap station. It automatically guides you to the station and start the battery swap. I think it's just a peace of mind, and when you do it, that you feel.
Lane, there's a semi that was going a bit slower, so it automatically signaled and it's capped at 120 kilometers an hour. So this is a 2-lane highway. We're also recording here, so hopefully things are going pretty smoothly. Those are Jetours.
Jetours, one of the Chery Group brands.
It's always eye-opening and interesting doing road trips in China. In Suzhou, it felt like Beijing 10 years ago. Still a lot of mopeds, still a lot of random things going on, crossing the streets. So
yeah, the other thing about why we stopped at Suzhou was when we left, we thought about stopping by NIO's F2 factory in Hefei. So we thought maybe we stop by on the first night in Suzhou and we try to visit F2 today and then head on to Shanghai. And then we looked at the timing of the drive that we need to do quite long. So since both of us have been to F2, we thought we decided at the end of the day to just focus on getting to Shanghai today, which is about 7 hours and change.
And so today's the worst
Today's
day.
the first day.
Oh, today's the first back.
Yesterday was the last day of the break.
So yesterday, on the way into Beijing, on the other side of the highway, we saw traffic jams. So we're hoping that once we get into Shanghai City center,
today we have this thing, which is what you get on the toll booth.
Yes, it's a little bit larger than a U.S. size. It's going to be pretty expensive for the tolls. So Lei, any final thoughts on the current trip so far? I know we've been tweeting some short videos, but
we don't really have any plans other than say who's going to give us an EV and worry about charging or battery swapping at all, because we know it just works.
And they don't sit down with us and for a half an hour to explain to us all the features of the car. It's a good and bad thing, because I would love to be able to understand all the cool features of the vehicle, but also it needs to be kind of user friendly. And so if you're fumbling around trying to go 3 or 4 levels deep on a screen, you're not paying attention to the road. So I think that's also an important lesson. I have my cheat sheet because my reading is not great. So Lei is here to really help with, or really take over on a lot of that stuff. Not help, I can barely read that. And I do want to give Nomi a little shout out. Hey Nomi, can you explain who you are and what you do?
Hold on, let me turn the volume. Hey Nomi, 调高. I'll try it again.
Hey Nomi,
我在，
can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do? Hey Nomi,
我来啦，
冷静一下。
Hey Nomi,
我来啦。
can you?
Is there anything specific
Where were you born?
to assist?
Hey,
Hey,
how far are we from Shanghai?
in Suzhou, it's approximately 400. Would you like me to plan a route for you?
No, thank you. That was a interesting interaction. So this system is different from the NIOs that are exported, let's say, to Europe, or that has the, let's say, English or German. Those are well tuned with a better word.
DeepSeek is integrated into all
Not
these
yet.
different systems. It's going to be even more powerful, and I think being able to speak normally, conversationally, is going to be a lot easier. And again, Lay's English is better than mine, so I think that's why Nomi understood. And obviously his Chinese is better than mine. But it's pretty impressive. I don't know of any Western automaker that has this type of available interaction with the AI system.
It's in the Nomi GPT. Li Auto has the Li Xiang Tongxue, which is some,
More than a dozen automakers.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about this on Friday, Lay. Do you have any
This is part of the auto show for us, and I don't think anyone else.
thoughts?
Final thoughts. For a long distance driving, the caveat, if we have to compare, it's slightly more comfortable. My butt hurts.
Well, we're older too, so maybe we need more supportive. I actually find these seats to be very comfortable. The cool thing is that these cars all have massage functions. They all have lumbar support. Mm-hmm. So these aren't bare bone vehicles, and anything that's over $35,000-$40,000, you're probably going to get a lot of multifunctional seats. And so, huge difference between the China market and what you're going to be able to afford for $45,000-$50,000.
Itself, today is a pretty sunny day. This has this, what do you call this? The sun.
Moonroof?
Not even a moonroof. It's
because it doesn't open.
And it looks like the UV light production is pretty well done.
And I thought when we left, I was like, this could get hot, but it's not hot at all, and we don't even have the air conditioning on that much.
Well, it's 22.5 Celsius for me at 21. This car, not try to hypermile it, just put everything on normal. AC system will estimate the range that's going to burn, and the right swap station to swap. Yeah.
So, a little housekeeping, quick reminder: we should be into Shanghai tonight around 8-9 p.m. We'll try to get this video out in the next few days. I'm going to be in Shanghai on a panel with Bill Russo tomorrow morning, and then Lay and I are going to have a little bit of surprise that afternoon. Hopefully we'll be able to get that out in the next couple of weeks as well. And then I'll be back in the U.S. on Thursday, and Friday morning back at the usual bat time, 9 a.m. Eastern on Friday. You and I are going to try to go live again. You from Beijing, me from the United States. Hopefully it works out. If not, we'll just record an episode. This is going to be part 2. That's more about not just what everybody thought about the show, but an insider's view.
As your newsletter points out, the insider's view.
There was a lot of events and a lot of interactions and conversations we've had.
Selfie that we posted, the SAIC motor booth, and the words in the backboard says 懂车更懂你, which literally means know the vehicle and perfect. I think we're the two of the most knowledge about knowing with the global perspective. I think that's important. And I've been there, done that. I don't know any.
I think you're referring to a few people that, So anyways, hey, we swap at 100%.
See, now one in front of us queuing. But this could change at any minute.
It will change. So, all right, everybody. We'll talk with you soon. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Lay and I thank you for tuning in. My name is Tu Lee, and you can find me on Twitter at Sino Auto Insight. That's SINOAUTOINSIGHT. You can find Lei on Twitter at LeiXing77. That's LEIXING77. If you wouldn't mind rating and or reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you grab your podcast from, we'd appreciate that as well. Even better, if you enjoy this show, please tell your friends about it. Please join us again next week as we track down all the latest news on China, EVs, and more.